The star Epsilon 9 was old. It had burned for billions of years, slow and quiet, like a candle left to die in a room no one visited. Around it, floating in the dark, was a place no human had ever seen. A big, quiet ship made of smooth gray metal, shaped like a flattened egg. It did not move. It did not speak. It did not need to. Inside, the Kalari lived. They were tall, thin, with skin like pale stone and eyes that never blinked. They did not eat. They did not sleep. They did not laugh. They thought. Always thought. For 147 years, they had been working on one thing, an equation. It was not written on paper. It was not spoken in words. It lived in the space between stars, a pattern hidden in the quiet hum of the universe's oldest light. They called it the unyielding. No one knew where it came from. No one knew why it was there, but the Kalari believed it held the answer to everything, not just how the stars moved or how time bent, but why Park Jinsu was the oldest of them. He had been born when the ship first reached Epsilon 9. He had watched his parents, his grandparents, his great-grandparents sit in silence, fingers moving slowly over glowing panels, eyes fixed on the endless lines of numbers that danced in the air. He had never seen a sky. He had never felt rain. He had never heard music. But he had seen the equation. Every day, every hour, every breath, his body was old now. His bones ached. His skin hung loose. But his mind was still sharp, still working. Each morning, the other Kalari came to him. Not to ask how he was. Not to say goodbye. They came to watch, to learn, to remember. He would sit in his chair, wrapped in soft cloth that did not warm him, and he would look at the equation. It was not a thing you could touch. It was a thing you could feel, like the pull of a tide you could not see. The equation changed every day, not in a way that made sense, not in a way that followed rules. It twisted, it curled, it broke, it came back. It looked like a tree growing backward, like a song sung in reverse, like a door that kept closing just as you reached for the handle. The Kalari tried to solve it with logic. They broke it into parts. They measured every number. They counted every space between the lines. They built machines that could think faster than any living thing. They built libraries of answers that no one would ever read. But the equation never gave in. Jinsu remembered when he was young. He asked his mother, "Why do we do this?" She did not answer right away. She looked at the equation. Then she looked at him. "Because," she said, "if we do not try, then we are nothing." He did not understand then. He understood now. The Kalari had no families. No children grew up with hugs or stories. They had no art, no songs, no games. They had only this and the equation, and the waiting. Some of them died while thinking. Their bodies turned to dust inside their chairs. The others would take their place. No one cried. No one mourned. They simply added the name to the wall. A line of names, thousands long, each one a person who had spent their life chasing a shadow. Jinsu was the last one who remembered the old ways. He remembered stories his grandmother told him, not about stars or math, but about things he had never seen. A flower, a bird, a child laughing. He did not know if they were real, but he liked to think they were. Every night when the lights dimmed and the equation glowed softer, Jinsu would close his eyes and imagine a warm wind. He would imagine the sound of water falling. He would imagine a hand holding his. He never told anyone. They would not understand. They did not need to. One day, a new signal came. It was not from the stars. It was not from the equation. It came from outside. A small ship, fast, loud, messy. It had no shape like theirs. No grace, no silence. It was rough, square, covered in bumps and wires. It did not glide. It floated like a stone thrown into water. The Kalari noticed it at once. They did not speak. They did not move, but the equation changed. It flickered. For the first time in 147 years, the pattern shifted. Not because they had solved it, because something else was watching. Jinsu opened his eyes. He looked at the screen where the new ship appeared. Small, strange, and full of noise. He did not know what it was, but for the first time in his life, he felt something, not logic, not calculation, not even hope, just curiosity. He reached out slowly, like a man touching glass. His fingers hovered over the control, and he Did not press anything, he just watched. The ship moved closer. It did not send a message, it did not try to talk, it just was. And for the first time in 147 years, Park Jin-soo felt something he had never felt before. He felt small, not because he was weak, but because something else, something wild, something loud, something alive, had come to look at the same thing he had spent his whole life trying to understand. And maybe, just maybe, it saw something he never had. He sat back. He closed his eyes again. And for the first time in decades, he did not think about the equation. He thought about the people inside the strange ship. Who were they? Why were they here? Did they know what they were looking at? Or were they just passing by? He did not know, but for the first time in his long, quiet life, he wanted to know. Outside, the stars kept burning. Inside, the equation kept glowing. And somewhere, far away, on a rough little ship made of metal and noise, a man named Lee Min-ho stared at a screen, frowned, and said, "That doesn't make sense." He didn't know it yet, but he was the first human who had ever looked at the unyielding and not tried to solve it. He just wondered, and that was enough for now. The Daihan-1 was not a warship. It was not a luxury cruiser. It was not even a research vessel. It was a work truck of space, a big, clunky, noisy thing built to drag heavy ice from the outer rings of Jupiter back to Earth's factories. Its walls were scratched. Its lights flickered. Its air smelled like old coffee and sweat. But it was strong, and it was home. Captain Kim Hee-jin had been in charge for 8 years. She had seen comets break apart. She had fixed a broken reactor with duct tape and prayers. She had buried 3 crew members in the cold dark, their bodies wrapped in plastic and sent into the void with no ceremony, no music, no words. She did not cry. Not anymore. She was not a hero. She was just a woman who knew how to keep a ship flying. Her crew was small, only 12 people. All Korean, all tired, all just trying to get through their shift. Lee Min-ho was the systems analyst. He was quiet. He never talked much. He didn't laugh at jokes. He didn't tell stories. He just sat in the back of the control room staring at screens, fingers tapping on his keyboard like a man counting heartbeats. He had been a student once. In Seoul, before the war, before the famines, before the ships left Earth forever. He had studied math, not because he loved it, but because he was good at it. And in a world where jobs were scarce, being good at something meant you didn't starve. He had won a national puzzle contest when he was 16. Not because he was smartest, but because he saw patterns others missed. He could look at a mess, a tangled wire, a broken clock, a scrambled song, and find the hidden rhythm. No one on the ship knew that. Not even Hye-jin. They just knew he was quiet and reliable. The ship's AI, named Nara, was old. It had been built in 2083. Its voice was soft, female, calm. It spoke like a nurse who had seen too much. "Signal detected," Nara said without emotion. "Origin, Epsilon 9, unknown source. Frequency, non-standard. Pattern, repeating. Not natural. Not machine." Hee-jin looked up from her coffee. "What kind of signal?" "Not a message," Nara replied. "Not a call. Not a warning. It is a sequence, like a song with no beginning and no end." Hee-jin sighed. "So it's noise." "Perhaps," Nara said. "But it is very careful noise." Min-ho didn't move. He didn't speak. He just stared at his screen. The signal was faint, barely a whisper. But it was there. A slow, twisting line of numbers flashing once every 3.7 seconds. It didn't match any known code. It didn't follow any rule the humans understood. It wasn't random, but it wasn't logic either. "It looks like a spiral," Min-ho said suddenly. Everyone turned. He didn't look up. He didn't smile. He just kept typing. "What does that mean?" asked Sumin, the medic. She was young, 29. She had joined the crew because she wanted to see the stars. Now she just wanted to go home. "It doesn't mean anything," Hee-jin said. "It's just space junk. Some old probe, a glitch. We're here to mine helium-3, not solve ghost puzzles." Min-ho didn't argue. He just copied the signal into his personal log. He labeled it Epsilon 9 Echo. That night, after everyone else slept, Min-ho stayed awake. He pulled up the pattern again. He printed it on a piece of paper. Not the numbers, but the shape they made when connected. He taped it to the wall above his bunk. It looked like a snake eating its own tail. But the tail was made of smaller snakes, and each of those had smaller snakes inside them. And so on, forever. He stared at it for hours. He didn't sleep, he didn't eat, he just looked, and then at 3:14 a.m., he whispered something to the dark. It's not a number problem. He didn't know why he said it, but he knew it was true. The next morning, Hyejin found him in the engine room covered in grease, holding a wrench blade, but his eyes were still on the screen. You're not working, she said. I'm thinking, he replied. Thinking about what? The signal, she frowned. We're not a science team. We're a cargo hauler. If we stay here too long, we miss the next haul. We lose pay. We lose rations. We lose our place in line. Minho nodded. I know. So let it go, he looked at her. For the first time, she saw something in his eyes. Not tiredness. Not fear, curiosity. Captain, he said quietly. What if this isn't a mistake? What do you mean? What if it's not broken? What if it's trying to say something? Hyejin laughed. A short, sharp sound. In 14 years of space, I've heard 1,000 strange things. A dying star singing. A planet that hummed when the wind blew. A robot that cried when it saw Earth. None of them meant anything. This is just noise. Minho didn't answer. He just turned back to the screen. Later that day, Sumin came to him. She brought tea. Green tea, real tea. Not the powdered kind they got from the ration packs. Why are you so interested? She asked. He didn't look at her. He just kept watching the pattern. I don't know, he said. But when I look at it, it feels like a song I used to hear when I was little. What song? I don't remember the name. But I remember the way it made me feel. Like I was being held, even though no one was there. Sumin sat down beside him. She didn't say anything else. She just looked at the screen and then she said, It looks like a crane. Minho turned to her. What? The pattern. The way it folds. It's like origami. A paper crane, you know? The one you fold when you want someone to get better. Minho stared. He had folded cranes as a child. His mother used to make them when he was sick. She would put them on his windowsill. One for each day he didn't cry. He hadn't thought about them in years. He looked back at the screen. The numbers twisted, turned, bent. And for the first time, he saw it. Not as math, not as code, as folds. Each number was a crease. Each pause was a turn. The whole thing, the endless spiral, was one crane, folded over and over forever. He stood up. He walked to the supply closet. He took out a sheet of paper, thin, white, old. He sat down, and he began to fold. Hyejin found him an hour later. He was on the floor. The paper was in his hands. It was almost done. A crane, not perfect. One wing was a little crooked. The tail didn't quite match, but it was there. What are you doing? She asked. He didn't look up. I'm not solving the equation, he said. Then what are you doing? I'm listening. She didn't understand. She walked away. That night, the signal changed. Not in numbers, not in speed, but in tone. It became softer, like a voice lowering, like someone whispering. Nara noticed first. The pattern has shifted, she said. It is no longer repeating, it is responding. Minho didn't react. He just held the crane in his palm. He didn't know if the aliens were real. He didn't know if they were alive. He didn't even know if they were thinking. But he knew this. They had been waiting. And now, for the first time in 147 years, they were not alone. The next morning, Hyejin called a meeting. Everyone gathered in the small mess room. No one spoke. No one smiled. She stood at the front. We're not here to play with ghosts, she said. We have a job. We have a schedule. We have families waiting on Earth. If we stay here, we risk everything. She paused. She looked at Minho. And you, she said. You're acting like a child chasing a shadow. Minho didn't look away. I'm not chasing a shadow, he said. Then what are you chasing? He held up the crane. I'm chasing the silence between the notes. No one moved. No one breathed. Then Sumin stood up. I think he's right, she said. Hyejin turned to her. What? I've been looking at the pattern too. I don't understand it, but I feel something when I look at it, like I'm not supposed to solve it. I'm supposed to see it, Minho nodded. That's it, he said. You don't solve it. You see it. Hee-jin closed her eyes. She was tired. She was scared. She didn't want to believe, but she remembered. The quiet, the way the stars felt when you were alone. The way the silence could be louder than a scream. She opened her eyes. Fine, she said, for one day. We stay, we watch, we listen. She looked at Minho. If you find something, tell me. He nodded. She turned to leave. Then she stopped. She didn't look back. But she said softly, "And Minho?" "Yes, Captain." "Fold another crane." He didn't answer. But he did. He folded one more, and this time he made it perfect. He didn't know why. But he felt like the aliens were watching. And maybe, just maybe, they were smiling. Outside the old ship floated, the stars burned, and in the dark between the numbers, something waited not to be solved but to be seen. And for the first time in a very long time, someone was looking, really looking, not with machines, not with logic, with hands, with heart, with memory. And that was enough. The vault was old, older than the stars around it. It floated in the dark between galaxies, a giant metal shell covered in scars, burns from battles no one remembered, dents from ships that had crashed into it trying to escape, and scratches from fingers that had tried to carve names into its walls. No one came here anymore, not for years, not for centuries. Inside, the lights flickered. Not like a broken machine, like a tired person blinking. The air smelled like dust and metal and something older, something sweet like burnt sugar left too long on a stove. A single man moved through the halls. His name was Kim Min-jun. He was small, thin. His skin was pale from too many years without sunlight. His hair was gray at the temples, but still dark on top. He wore a uniform that had once been blue, but now was faded to the color of old tea. One sleeve was torn. One shoe had a hole in the sole. He didn't fix them. He didn't care. He walked slowly, like his bones were heavy. His hands were rough. They had done the same work for 32 years. Every day he cleaned. Every day he fixed. Every day he listened. The vault was not his home. He had no home. But it was the only place left that remembered Earth. Min-jun worked in the archive room. It was the biggest room in the vault, a cavern of glass shelves, each one holding thousands of small metal boxes. Inside each box was a memory, pictures, voices, songs, stories, all from a planet called Earth, a planet that had been destroyed 217 years ago. The aliens who owned the vault called it the Silent Archive. They did not understand what was inside. They did not care. To them it was junk, old data, useless history. The Kalians, the Vor, the Thalans, all of them had moved on. They had learned to be strong, to be silent, to feel nothing. Min-jun was the only one who still cared. He pulled a box from the shelf. The label was faded. He wiped the dust off with his sleeve. The writing was barely visible. Seoul 2178 Family Picnic, Rain. He opened it. A small light blinked on. A voice came out, soft, warm, a woman laughing. "Min-jun, don't run in the puddles. Your shoes are already wet." A child's voice giggling. "But Mommy, the rain is dancing." Then the sound of rain. Real rain, falling on grass, on leaves, on a metal roof. Min-jun stopped breathing. He closed his eyes. For a moment, he was not in the vault. He was not old. He was not alone. He was 8 years old, barefoot, standing in a puddle. His mother was holding an umbrella over him. His father was taking a picture with a boxy old camera. A dog, a golden one with floppy ears, was chasing a ball. Someone was singing, not well, but happy. He opened his eyes. The light went out. The box was silent again. He placed it back on the shelf. Carefully, like it was made of glass. He didn't cry, not anymore. He had learned not to. Crying did not help. Crying did not bring back the world. Crying did not stop the war, but he still listened. Every day he found one more box, one more memory, one more piece of Earth. He found a song from a street musician in Busan, a man playing a guitar under a bridge. The music was sad, but the crowd was smiling. He found a video of a classroom, children raising their hands. One boy said, "I want to be a scientist so I can go to Mars." The teacher laughed and said, "Then you'll have to study hard." He found a photo of a woman holding a baby. The baby was crying. The woman was smiling. The caption on the back, "First day home." She screamed for 6 hours. I loved every second. Min Jun kept them all. The vault had rules. The Kalians who ran it did not allow emotional data to be played often. They called it waste of energy. They had machines that could erase memories. They had soldiers who could destroy files with one touch. But Min Jun was not a soldier. He was not a leader. He was just a man. Old, quiet, forgotten. And because he was forgotten, no one watched him. He worked in the shadows. He fixed broken machines. He cleaned dusty shelves. He replaced dead batteries with ones he stole from broken lights. He never asked for more. He never complained. The Kalians thought he was broken. They thought he had lost his mind. They called him the Ghost of Sol. Sol was the name of Earth's sun. They used it like a curse. He is not even human anymore, one guard said once. Watching Min Jun sit alone in the archive room, staring at a blank screen. He is just a machine that remembers, another replied. They did not. No, Min Jun was not a machine. He was a man who still remembered how to feel. He remembered the smell of fresh rice in the morning, he remembered. The sound of his sister's voice when she sang, off-key in the shower. He remembered the way his father hugged him after his first soccer game, even though he had lost. He remembered the taste of his mother's soup when he was sick. None of it mattered to the galaxy, but it mattered to him. Every night, after his shift, he sat in the dark corner of the archive room. He did not sleep. He did not rest. He just sat. And he listened. Sometimes he played the same memory over and over. The rain, the laughter, the dog chasing the ball. It was the only time he felt warm. One day, a new guard came. His name was Kale. He was tall, strong. His skin was blue-gray. His eyes had no pupils, just smooth silver circles. He did not blink. He did not smile. He did not speak unless he had to. He stood in the doorway and watched Min Jun for a long time. Min Jun did not look up. You play the same file every night? Kyle said. His voice was flat. Like a machine speaking, Min Jun did not answer. Why? Kale asked. Min Jun closed the box. He put it back on the shelf. Because it is the last thing I have, he said. Kale tilted his head. He did not understand. Emotion is inefficient, he said. It uses energy. It slows progress. The Galactic Concord erased all human emotion because it was weak. Min Jun looked at him. Was it? He asked. Kale did not answer. Min Jun stood up. He was slow. His back hurt. He walked past Kale and out of the room. Kale watched him go. That night, Kale went to the archive room again. He stood in the same corner. He looked at the shelf where Min Jun had placed the rain memory. He did not touch it, but he did not turn away. He stood there for an hour. He did not feel anything, but for the first time in his life, he did not move. The next day, Min Jun found a small cup of tea on his workbench. It was cold. The cup was plain, no logo, no symbol, just tea. He did not know who left it. He drank it anyway. It tasted like nothing. But for a moment, it tasted like home. He did not say thank you. He did not need to. He knew. Someone, somewhere, was starting to wonder. The vault kept spinning. The stars kept moving, and Kim Min Jun kept working. He did not know if anyone would ever understand. He did not care. He only knew that if he stopped remembering, then Earth would die again, and this time, there would be no one left to bring it back. So he kept listening, he kept fixing, he kept cleaning, and every night, when the lights dimmed, he sat in the dark and let the rain fall again, just for a little while, just for him. She didn't speak. They were both alone. Not because they wanted to be, but because no one else knew how to be anything else. Her name was Yoon Hae-in. She was 10 years old. She had been taken from her home 3 weeks ago. They said she was emotional. That was the crime. They brought her to the silent archive because the Kalians didn't know what to do with her. She didn't scream. She didn't fight. She didn't beg. She just sat. In the corner of the storage hall, near the broken ventilation unit, where the air smelled like rust and old paper. The guards left her there. They thought she would die or wake up or change. But she didn't. She just sat. Her clothes were too big. Her shoes were too tight. Her hair was tangled. Her hands were clean, not because she washed them, but because she didn't move. She stared at the wall. not because she was looking at it, but because she didn't know what else to look at. The archive was full of noise. Lights blinked, machines hummed, voices whispered from old boxes. But Hei-In heard none of it. She heard only silence. Even when the guards shouted, even when the alarms rang, even when the floor shook from distant explosions, she didn't flinch. She had seen her mother die, not in battle, not in fire, in a room. Quiet. A Kalian officer stood over her, said, "Your sadness is a flaw." Then he pressed a device to her neck. It didn't hurt, but it took something deep. After that, her mother stopped crying. She stopped smiling. She stopped breathing, and then she was gone. Hei-In didn't cry then. She didn't cry now. She didn't know how. The guards called her the Hollow Child. They said she was useless, that she would be recycled, that her body would be melted down for parts, her mind empty, her heart broken. No one expected her to live. No one expected her to care. Until she saw the bird. It was small, made of wood, carved by hand. It had one wing bent. The eyes were painted with charcoal. It looked like it had been held many times, like someone loved it. She saw it on the floor, near the old data shelves. It had fallen from a man's pocket. He didn't notice he was old, thin, worn out. His uniform was dirty. His shoes had holes. He bent down, picked it up. He didn't look at her. He didn't speak. He just held the bird in his hand for a long time. Then he put it back in his pocket and walked away. Hei-In didn't move. But something inside her, something cold and quiet, twitched. The next day she walked to the same spot. She waited. She didn't know why. She just did. He came again. Same time. Same walk. Same quiet steps. This time he dropped the bird again. It rolled across the floor, stopped near her foot. She didn't pick it up. He didn't look at her. He just kept walking. But this time, he paused. Just for a second. He looked down. At her. At the bird. At her empty eyes. He didn't say anything. He didn't smile. He didn't frown. He just saw her like she was real. Not a problem. Not a mistake. Not a thing to be fixed. Just a girl. He bent down again. This time, he picked up the bird and he placed it right in front of her. Not near her. Not beside her. Right in front of her, so she could reach it. Then he turned and walked away. Hei-In stayed still. For a long time. The bird sat on the floor. Wooden. Broken. Beautiful. She reached out, slowly. Her hand trembled. She didn't know if she was allowed to touch it. She didn't know if she was allowed to want anything, but she did. She wanted it. She picked it up. It was warm. Not from the room, from his hand. She held it tight. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. But for the first time since her mother died, she didn't feel empty. She felt something, like a small light, far away, flickering. But there. The next day she came again. He was there. He was cleaning a shelf. His back was to her. She walked slowly, sat down beside him. Not too close. Just close enough. He didn't look at her. He didn't shoo her away. He just kept working. She held the bird in her lap. She didn't play with it. She just held it, like it was the only thing left in the world. He played a memory that day. A soft voice came from the box. A woman singing. Not in a fancy way. Just humming. Off-key. Laughing between notes. The sound was warm, like sunlight on a blanket. Hei-In didn't move, but her fingers tightened around the bird. She didn't know the words. She didn't know the language, but she knew the feeling. It was the same feeling she had when her mother hugged her before the war, before the silence, before the machine took the crying out. She looked at the man. He was crying. Not loud, not messy. Just one tear. Slow. Falling from his cheek. Landing on the metal floor. He didn't wipe it away. He didn't look at her. He just kept listening and crying. Heian didn't understand. Why did he cry? Why did he let himself? Didn't he know it was weak? Didn't he know they would punish him? She looked down at the bird, then back at him. She didn't know what to do. So she did nothing. She just sat and listened. The song ended. The light went off. The man stood up. He didn't say goodbye. He didn't look at her. He walked away. But this time, Heian didn't let go of the bird. She kept it in her hand. Even when she slept. Even when the guards came to check on her. Even when they asked, "Why do you hold that thing?" She didn't answer. She just held it tighter. One day a guard tried to take it. He grabbed her wrist. "You are not allowed to keep sentimental objects," he said. His voice was cold, like metal in winter. Heian didn't scream, she didn't fight. She just looked at him, and for the first time, she spoke. Not loud, not clear, just a whisper. "It's warm." The guard froze. He didn't expect that. He didn't expect anything from her. He looked at the bird. He looked at her face. Her eyes were not empty anymore. They were afraid, but not of him, of losing it. He let go. He didn't say anything. He just walked away. That night, Heian didn't sleep in the corner. She sat near the shelves, where the man worked. She didn't go near him. She just sat and waited. He came. He saw her. He didn't act surprised. He didn't smile. He didn't frown. He just sat down on the other side of the shelf. Not close, not far, just there. They didn't talk. They didn't need to. He played another memory. A child's voice. Laughter. Real laughter. Not polite, not quiet. Loud, unafraid. A boy shouting, "I won, I won. Mommy, look." Then a woman yelling back, "You cheated. You kicked the ball with your foot." Then more laughter. Heian closed her eyes. She didn't remember laughter. She didn't remember being happy. But she remembered wanting to be. She opened her eyes. The man was watching her. Not because he had to, because he wanted to. He reached into his pocket, took out a small piece of cloth. It was blue, frayed at the edges. He held it out to her. She didn't take it. He didn't push. He just let it rest on the floor between them. Then he stood up, walked away. Heian looked at the cloth. It smelled like soap, like clean skin, like someone who washed their hands every night. She picked it up, folded it small, put it in her pocket, next to the bird. She didn't know why she kept them, but she did. Because they were not broken. They were not useless. They were not empty. They were alive. Like him. Like her. The days passed. She came every day. He came every day. They never spoke. They never touched. But they were never alone. One morning she found a new box on the shelf. It had no label. It was old, dusty. She didn't know if it was meant for her. She didn't know if she was allowed to open it. She looked at the man. He was cleaning another shelf. He didn't look at her, but he didn't stop her either. So she opened it. The light came on. A voice. A man's voice. Old, tired, soft. "If you're hearing this, I'm already gone. I don't know who you are. Maybe you're a soldier. Maybe you're a child. Maybe you're alone. I just want you to know. It's okay to miss things. It's okay to feel them. Even if the world says you shouldn't. Even if they say you're weak. You're not. You're human." Silence. Then a quiet breath. Then, "I miss my daughter. I miss her laugh. I miss her running into my arms. I miss her saying, 'I love you' before bed." I don't know if anyone will ever hear this, but if you did, thank you for remembering. The light went out. Heian didn't move. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. But her fingers trembled, and for the first time, she pressed the box to her chest and held it tight, like she was holding him, like she was holding herself, like she was holding everything she had lost, and everything she was still trying to find. The man came later. He saw the box open. He saw her holding it. He didn't say anything. He just sat down. Beside her. Not close. Not far. Just there. And for the first time, she didn't look away. She looked at him, and for the first time, he looked back and smiled. Just a little. Just enough. Not for the galaxy. Not for the rules. Not for the machines. Just for her. Just because she was there. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. She didn't know what it meant, but she felt it, not in her head, not in her words, in her chest, like something soft had cracked open inside her. The next morning, Heian didn't go to her corner. She didn't sit near the shelves. She walked straight to the man. He was fixing a broken light panel. His hands were shaking. His back was bent. He didn't look up when she came. She stood in front of him, silent, waiting. He finished the wire, taped it down. Then he turned. He saw her. He didn't smile. He didn't frown. He just saw her. Like he had seen her every day. Like she was part of the room. Like she belonged. Heian held out the wooden bird. It was clean now. She had wiped it with the blue cloth. She didn't say anything. She just held it. The man looked at it, then at her. Then he reached out. Not for the bird. For her. Hand slow, gentle, he took it, not to hold it, just to feel it. Her fingers were cold. His were warm. They stayed like that. Hand in hand, and for a long time, no one else was in the room. The machines hummed. The lights flickered. But they didn't move. They didn't speak. They just held on. It was the first time anyone had touched her since the day her mother died. Not to fix. Her not to punish her. Not to take something away. Just to be there. After a while, he let go. He didn't say thank you. He didn't say goodbye. He picked up the wooden bird and he placed it in her palm. Then he turned and walked away. Heian didn't follow. She just stood there holding the bird, and for the first time she whispered. Not loud, not clear, just a breath. Thank you. She didn't know if he heard. She didn't know if he cared, but she said it anyway, because it felt right. The next day, she brought the blue cloth. She placed it on his workbench. He saw it. He didn't say anything. He just picked it up, folded it neatly, put it in his pocket. That night, she didn't sleep. She sat by the archive door, waiting. He came. He sat beside her, not close, not far, just there. He played a new memory, a man's voice singing, badly, off-key, laughing while he sang. I'm not good at this, but I'm trying. Then a child's voice, giggling. Daddy, you sound like a crying dog. Then the man laughed harder. The sound filled the room. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't pretty. It was messy. Real. Heian closed her eyes. She didn't remember laughter, but she remembered wanting to. She opened her eyes. The man was watching her. Again, just watching. Like he was learning. Or like she was a story he was reading. Slowly, she looked back, and for the first time, she smiled. Not big, not loud, just a little. A crack in the ice, a flicker in the dark. The man didn't react. He didn't smile back. He didn't say anything, but his eyes, they softened just a little, like the light in the vault had changed. Not brighter, just warmer. The next day, the guards came. They didn't come for her. They came for the archive. A senior officer, tall, sharp eyes like frozen glass, stood in the doorway. His name was Park Ji-hoon. He was high in the Kalian chain. He didn't speak to ghosts. He didn't care about memories. He only cared about order. He looked at the shelves, at the boxes, at the old Earth recordings. Then he looked at Min-jun. You are wasting energy. He said. Min-jun didn't answer. He kept cleaning. Ji-hoon stepped forward. He picked up a box. It was labeled Seoul. Hyun 75, first snow. He pressed the play button. A child's voice. Mommy, it's white. It's like sugar. Then the sound of snow crunching under boots. Laughter. A dog barking. A woman singing a song. Ji-hoon stared at it. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He just listened for 10 seconds, 15, 20, then he turned. He looked at Hae-in. She was standing behind. Min-jun died quiet watching. He didn't say anything. He didn't scold her. He didn't order her away. He just dropped the box. It hit the floor with a soft thud. Then he walked. Out. No one moved. No one breathed. Min-jun didn't look. Up. Hae-in didn't move, but something had changed. The officer had not destroyed the memory. He had not punished them. He had just stopped for a moment. He had felt it, and he hadn't turned away. That night, Hae-in didn't sit near Min-jun. She sat near the box Ji-hoon had dropped. She didn't play it. She just sat beside it, like it was a friend. The next day, Ji-hoon came again. He didn't speak. He didn't order. He just stood in the doorway, watching. Min-jun didn't look at him. Hae-in didn't look at him, but they both knew he was there. He stayed for an hour. Then he left. He came again the next day, and the day after. That always silent, always watching. No one else noticed. The guards thought he was checking on the archive. The scientists thought he was testing data, but Hae-in knew he was listening just like her. One morning, she found a new box on the shelf. It had no label. It was small, old. She looked at Min-jun. He didn't look back. He didn't stop working, but he didn't tell her not to open it, so she did. The light came on. A woman's voice. Weak, tired, breathing hard. If you're hearing this, I don't have much time. I'm in the hospital. The bombs hit the city. My legs, they won't work anymore. My baby, she's gone. I didn't get to hold her. I didn't get to say goodbye. A pause, a sob. Then, but I'm still here. I'm still breathing. And I'm still loving. Even now, even like this. Even alone, I love her. I love my husband. I love the smell of bread. I love the way the sun hits the wall in the morning. I love the sound of rain. I love being alive, even if it hurts. Even if it's broken, I love it. Silence, then the sound of a single tear. Falling. The light went out. Hae-in didn't move. She didn't cry. She didn't speak, but her hands were shaking. She looked at Min-jun. He had stopped working. He was staring at the box. His face was wet. He didn't wipe it. He just let it fall, one tear then another. He didn't try to stop them. He didn't hide them. He just let them come. Hae-in walked over. She didn't say anything. She didn't hug him. She just sat beside him, and she held his hand again, just like before. He didn't pull away. He didn't look at her, but he held her hand back. They sat like that for a long time. The archive was quiet. The machines hummed. The lights flickered, but for the first time it didn't feel empty. It felt full of love, full of pain, full of something no machine could erase. That night, Hae-in dreamed. Not of silence, not of war, not of death. She dreamed of snow, of a woman singing, of a child running, of a man holding her hand, and of a wooden bird warm in her palm. She woke up crying. Not loud. Not messy, just one tear, slow falling, onto her pillow. She didn't wipe it away. She didn't feel ashamed. She didn't feel weak. She felt alive. The next morning, she didn't go to the archive. She went to the hall, where the guards ate. She stood in front of them. They stopped talking. They stared. She didn't look afraid. She didn't look angry. She just held up the wooden bird and she said, "This is not broken." The guards didn't understand. One of them laughed. "You're just a child. You don't know what you're saying." Hae-in didn't move. She looked at each of them. Then she said, "You used to cry. Before you forgot." No one spoke, no one moved. The bird was still in her hand. The room was still. Then one guard looked down. He didn't say anything, but his eyes were wet. Another guard turned away. His shoulders shook, not from anger, from something else. Something they had buried for so long. They didn't even know it was still there. That night, the archive was quiet, but something had changed. The next day, a Kalian engineer came to the archive. He didn't speak. He didn't order. He just sat on the floor. Across from Hae-in, he didn't look at her. He looked at the wooden bird. Then he reached into his pocket, took out a small piece of metal. It was shaped like a star. He placed it on the floor beside her, then he stood up, walked away. He didn't pick it up. She didn't need to. She knew someone else remembered. Someone else felt the next day. Another guard came, then another. They didn't come to check on her. They came to sit, to listen, to be quiet. They didn't say anything. They didn't have to. They just... Hamsan Minjun. He didn't stop working. He didn't stop cleaning. But now, when he played a memory, he played it louder, and he didn't wait until no one was watching. He played them for everyone. The rain, the laughter, the singing, the tears, and one by one, the Kalians began to cry, not because they were told to, not because they were forced, but because they remembered. They remembered what it felt like to love, to miss, to hurt, to hope. They didn't know how to do it, but they tried. One tear, one breath, one quiet moment, and Heian, she sat beside Minjun. She held his hand. She didn't speak. She didn't need to, because for the first time, they were not alone, and maybe that was the most human thing of all.